Hey there guys, I'm back to another video. Today I want to talk about the final update for Sonic Frontiers called the Final Horizon. The update allows you to play as Tails, Amy, and Knuckles along with a new story ending, sort of rewriting the ending of Sonic Frontiers by allowing Sonic's friends to get on the action. It's only been out for a few days, but I managed to finish it the day after it launched. Is the free update worth playing? Well, I have a lot to say. Full spoilers for Sonic Frontiers The Final Horizon. The final update starts with Sage outlining another scenario to defeat the Titans. It all takes place right after Tails, Amy, and Knuckles sacrifice their physical forms to save Sonic from the cyber corruption. Sage can bring Sonic's friends back while stabilizing Sonic's cyber corruption. Super convenient that Sage has both of these powers. Anyhow, Sonic and friends now have to track down the Chaos Emeralds again while completing trials and challenges from the Cocos. As you move along in the story, Amy, Tails, and Knuckles get more cyber corrupted as they interact with the real world. Sonic meets the Master King Coco, who can grant Sonic untapped power. After completing his trial, Master King Coco will grant Sonic new power when he battles Supreme again. Once he becomes the End, seriously that's his second form's name, Sonic unlocks his untapped power, giving him a better advantage against the End. Sage saves Eggman again, but with the help of Tails, Amy, and Knuckles, she doesn't have to sacrifice herself. Once it's all said and done, Sonic defeats the End and the game is over. Very similar to the original ending, except Sage doesn't sacrifice herself. I didn't have an issue with Sonic Frontiers' story. It had some interesting elements, such as the Cocos and the Ancients, but nothing wowed me from the story. And the ending was fine. Sage sacrificing herself was a reasonable end to her arc before being revived by Eggman in a post-credit scene. Now, it's just Sonic received a new form, use it to completely obliterate the End, and no one dies. More or less the same ending for me personally, but I can see why some may like the new ending better. The fan service stuff with Super Sonic 2.0 is really cool though, I'm not gonna lie. Let's talk about the gameplay, as this has to be the biggest aspect of Update 3 in my opinion. I personally didn't revisit Sonic Frontiers after the previous updates, so I apologize for my ignorance for anything new gameplay-wise. They added the spin dash, which is pretty dope, makes traveling around the map much faster. All the new characters are pretty bare bones before upgrading them. Upgrades are acquired just like before by gaining skill points. Each character needs to find Cocos across the map that have the character's respective color. So Knuckles is red, Amy's pink, and Tails is yellow. Everyone controls similarly to Sonic in terms of movement, along with additional abilities/weapons to make them unique. All of them need to buy the Psyloop ability from their skills, which is pretty dumb. It's only one skill point, but still, why not have Amy, Tails, and Knuckles have the Psyloop at the start? Right off the bat, you play as Amy. She has this double jump that can slowly descend, kind of like Princess Peach. Her arsenal not only includes her Pico Pico hammer, but also tarot cards. A little confusing, I know, but it is a new trait recently added to Amy's character. The Pico Pico hammer is tied to her special attack, so it's not part of her movement abilities like in Sonic Adventure. That's where the tarot cards come into play for not only her double jump, but she can use them as her melee attack. Why not use the Pico Pico hammer is beyond me, but the tarot cards aren't a huge deal, in my opinion. Amy is by far the most balanced character out of the three, as she doesn't necessarily break the game with her movement. Amy is fine to play in Sonic Frontiers. Next character you'll play as is Knuckles. He's not as smooth as he was in the Sonic Adventure games, but it's close enough. You can climb and glide across the island to complete missions. Knuckles' glide ability feels a bit stiff since he stops in place mid-air as you cast the ability. Flying around is okay, it's the camera that gets in the way and doesn't know how to properly track Knuckles. Climbing walls is only on these specific red surfaces to not break the game. The game definitely feels the most janky and glitchy when I play Knuckles. I wish I was able to climb up mountains as Knuckles, but it's only to these red surfaces. There is currently a glitch where if you glide and then you do the punch combo, you can gain some height and essentially fly up. Fans might be reminded of Sonic Boom with the pause glitch, and it's similar to that. It's crazy to me how they didn't play test Knuckles to see if this was even possible. Keeping this glitch in, intentional or not, is a bit stupid. Knuckles uses his hands in combat once again, but you can't really defeat bosses as the new characters. More on this later. Knuckles isn't the same as he once was before, but in the context of Sonic Frontiers, it's passable. Tails is the last new character that you'll play as, and he's more or less the same from Sonic Adventure. He can fly and gain some height after a few seconds. He can throw wrenches at enemies, but you can't homing attack because of it. You can whip out the Walker from Sonic Adventure 2 to fly around in the air with the Cyclone boost. This ability feels especially broken since you can literally fly around wherever you want. Tails is a lot of fun to control. I wish I had the homing attack, but I know that it would have been confusing to have that and the wrench attacks. The new characters straight up cannot defeat the mini bosses. They're scattered scattered across the map once again, but they're much harder. You have these new characters that people want to try out, and yet you can't really use them in combat because they're too weak. They can take out common enemies like badniks and stuff, but bigger enemies, hell no. All in all, the new characters are okay. They only show the problems with Sonic Frontiers even more, like the pop-in terrain being especially apparent with these characters, flying around as Knuckles and not being able to see where to go because the game can't see that far. It's great to see these characters return to a 3D Sonic game after over 15 years, but it's clear that Sonic Frontiers wasn't built with them in mind. Side note, because all 4 characters are inhabiting the same open world, there's obstacles that are unique for this specific character, but it's not clearly labeled sometimes. Like, okay, the colors should be an indicator, but because the grind rails and platforms still hover in the air with no rhyme or reason, it's hard to tell. I think it would have been better if each character had their own island, so there's no overlapping challenges for every character on the map. Sonic is once again playable, and he is a majority of who you'll be playing as in Update 3. One of my biggest complaints with this update is how they want the player to do precise platforming in Sonic Frontiers. The game, in my opinion, is 100% not meant for this kind of gameplay. The most fun I had in Sonic Frontiers was the exploration, the cyberspace levels, and the boss fights. The Final Horizon's main focus at first is platforming as Sonic going up the Trial Towers. Holy fuck, I have never been so mad at a Sonic game in so long. The last time my hands sweated over a Sonic game like this was in Sonic Unleashed back in 2008. Because of their super long levels. I'm looking at you, Eggman Land. The Trial Towers are Sonic's main objective when you switch over to them. They are really high towers that you need to climb by going up ramps, homing attacking enemies / objects, jumping on moving platforms, etc. There's multiple towers to climb, and the major catch about these towers is the precise platforming. Like I said, Sonic Frontiers isn't made for this kind of gameplay. You make one mistake and fall, and you have to climb the tower back up again. The amount of times I got mad and frustrated at how bullshit the level design for these towers are is insane. For example, there's a section where you have to homing attack these pink walls. The problem with this is when you fall and have to climb back up, the walls don't respawn. So you either have to reload a previous save or carefully edge along these platforms. This is bullshit level design, and I cannot believe they did not allow these walls to respawn after 15 seconds or something. Another bullshit level design move is having the bumper hidden behind this blue marker. Sonic has to do the side loop to unlock the blue bumper, but it's on this platform where there are speed pads that go up and down. Why are the speed pads here, and why is the bumper not here to begin with? The bumper also goes back to the blue marker after a short period of time, so you have to do it over again when you fall down. This level design makes it harder, but not like, quote unquote, I feel great I got over that challenge harder. It's bullshit. Another area where difficulty is just increased exponentially is the cyberspace levels. Previously, they're a nice way to break the pace of the open world gameplay and give Sonic fans something familiar to sink their teeth into. In Update 3 cyberspace levels, they are pure nonsense. The level design for the 3 levels that I tried out were insanely bad and difficult. In addition, there's a condition like a time limit or racing against another player that can be added as well. There's more collectibles to find in the levels, such as these numbers, moons, and flickies, but where they are and how to find them is beyond me. Why would I try to collect all this stuff while I'm also racing against an evil Tails who's going really fast? I only finished one of these cyberspace levels and I got a D. These levels are poorly designed, which make the difficulty excessive, just like the open world stuff. Another problem I have with this update is the amount of times I had to look up how optimal I had to do something. This is related to the difficulty because they put these restrictions on the player to make it quote unquote hard. I had never felt so defeated looking up YouTube videos on how to do levels for a free update that wasn't even 24 hours old yet. The Master King Coco trial is a 3-man boss rush where you only get 400 rings, have to parry perfectly, and you can't regain more rings. So, if you get hit as Sonic, you'll have less rings for when you're Supersonic. You might as well restart the boss rush if you lose any rings as Sonic because it makes defeating the bosses on a tighter time constraint. The rings would have been fine if I didn't have to perfectly parry everything to do damage to these bosses. This adds extra stress and frustration to bosses that I already defeated in the main game. Again, bullshit design that makes it absurdly difficult? Why not create a few new bosses instead of having me replay the old ones with conditions to make it harder? And the conditions themselves are not reasonable. I also had to look up how to get past the snake's trial because the timing of everything is so exact. You have to defeat these enemies with shells, but you only get so much time to hit them before the shell protects them again. I learned about the combo where stomping on them does 30 damage compared to the normal 10. Kind of crazy how a lot of update 3 comes down to precise and exact inputs or else you lose. How does this make Sonic Frontiers any more fun with its quote-unquote harder difficulty? It doesn't. One of the last things I had to look up was defeating the end. I had no idea how to lock onto the purple core to stop the self-healing. Thanks to my lovely girlfriend, she looked on Twitter and found this user having the same exact issue as me. Someone replied by saying I have to dodge with R1 to retarget the lock-on to the cord. Why am I even able to hit the head in the first place when the purple cord is all I want to hit? Frustrating design all around that could have been solved by simply having the cord only targetable, not the cord and the end's head. Also, the game gives you 0 hints on anything if you're struggling with a trial or challenge for a long time. It's literally good luck have fun mentality with 0 hints. Another stupid part about fighting the end is how if you don't have enough rings during the final cutscene, when the end steals rings away from Sonic, you can actually die. Insane how this mandatory cutscene can kill you because you don't have enough rings. I know, I should have had more rings to begin with, but why is this even a design choice? Punishing the player for taking too long on a boss fight and forcing them to start all over again? Insane game design. One thing I really did enjoy about Sonic Frontiers: The Final Horizon is the music. The remixes of old songs still hit. Even when I'm losing my mind during the Master King Coco trial, I'm still headbanging to the music. The soundtrack of Sonic Frontiers overall is one of my favorites in years. Kellen Quinn is a fantastic addition to the Sonic musician family, and I hope we see more of him soon. Overall, the Final Horizon update for Sonic Frontiers is so messy. It's trying to do a lot of things like increase the difficulty, add new characters, and rewrite the ending, but most of it doesn't work. I thought the ending was fine, and to rewrite it by slightly changing it, not worth it. The new characters are neat to play as, but don't work for the open world of Sonic Frontiers. Maybe if they had their own dedicated missions or cyberspace levels to mess around in, but yeah, the game wasn't built with Amy, Tails, and Knuckles in mind. The difficulty is straight up bullshit and doesn't make any sense in the grand scheme of things. I know some people called Sonic Frontiers quote unquote too easy, but to turn up the difficulty like this was not cool. Even though I put the game on easy during the Master King Coco trial, I was still raging at my TV. It took me about 10 hours to finally finish the Final Horizon, and I wasn't even exploring a lot. I was just simply going from point A to point B with the occasional side quest for skill points or something. I believe Sonic Frontiers was one of the best Sonic games in years, but after this update, I can see why many critics gave it low scores when it was released. If you want to see what all the fuss is about with the Final Horizon, go ahead and jump back into Sonic Frontiers. It will give you a challenge and definitely not worth the time, stress, and aggravation the Final Horizon gives you. I genuinely feel scarred after playing this update. It was not a good time. And that's pretty much everything I have to say. What do you think of the Final Horizon update? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want more videos like this, you can hit the like button and subscribe. I upload new videos on Saturdays. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at TV Sonic Gaming. And you can check out my podcast called The Travis and Damien Podcast. We talk about games, movies, and anime every other week. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video once again. And I will see you guys next time with more videos.